Welcome to LAFCU's 2 Cents, the podcast where we dive deep into essential topics from finance related to ways we can improve our communities. Get ready to empower yourself with knowledge and take control of your financial future. LAFCU, your credit union for life. Hello and welcome to this episode of LAFCU's 2 Cents podcast. I am your host, Shelia. Joining me today is Amy. Amy is one of the loss prevention specialists here at LAFCU. So welcome, Amy, and thank you so much for taking the time out to sit and talk with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so before we get started on the topic, don't fall for it. As it pertains to fraud and scams and everything that we know is going on today, just give us a little bit about Amy.
So my name's Amy, obviously. I'm loss prevention specialist here at LAFCU. I have been at LAFCU for a total of almost 10 years. Out of those 10 years, I've spent 3 years as a teller and a little bit of member service duties as well. The remaining of my duration, I've dealt directly with fraud. When I'm not here fighting fraud, I'm typically staying active. I love to run, do hot yoga. I don't know if anybody's heard of Hot Works, but that's become my new addiction. It sounds kind of crazy, but you literally work out while you're in a sauna.
Oh, no.
And I have a huge passion for cooking. And I mean, of course, I love watching true crime because why not? That's a little bit about me.
Oh, good. So as we know today, there's a lot of fraud, whether it's at the gas stations or ATMs, wherever you go. So what are we hearing from our members about things that they're experiencing when it comes to fraud?
So a lot of the things that we're hearing about our members are, the fraud that unfortunately that we're seeing today has gotten very sophisticated compared to the last 7 years with all the technology changes that we're seeing, especially with the use of AI.
Yeah.
It does have great benefits, but it also has a opportunity to be deceived. And, you know, these scams are just very disruptive. Scammers are using some pretty good scare tactics to get you to send them money or give out your personal identifying information without you even really thinking about it. Because they want you to act quickly, giving you really no time to process the situation. And, you know, a lot of the common scams that we are seeing today are identity theft. That has really been on the rise with, you know, a lot of online applications. We just got over February, romance season. The romance scams were pretty popular.
Wow.
Imposter scams, investment, loan scams, account takeover fraud. Our phone number has been spoofed, unfortunately, among many other financial institutions and legitimate businesses, where they are impersonating that legitimate company with efforts to take your information. And we refer to these as clickbait scams, where, say, you get a text message that looks like it comes from a legitimate sender, but it's not from them, and they intercept your personal and or banking information. You know, the weather is, hopefully going to start to warm up soon. That's when we see mail theft, checks are being swiped out of mailboxes, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. You know, I never thought about the mailbox until I think we said something here about it. And because I would just put, you know, my mail in my box and raise the flag and, you know, never thought anything about it. And then I thought, that's not a good idea. Then they were saying how people would ride past. They didn't even get out their car. They just, you know, open your mailbox door, or, you know, whatever, and just stick like a little thing in there, grab your mail and go. Yep. And I thought, you know, it got to the point now where you don't know what to do. You don't want to trust anyone. But what are some of the things that LAFCU is doing to help our employees and mainly our members?
LAFCU is doing its part to spread awareness. We believe awareness is key. We want to be proactive rather than reactive. Spreading awareness and educating our members and our staff is how we may better inform our members and protect them from these scams. We're doing our best to ensure that all members are aware of what we're seeing, what we're hearing, because the fraud trends, they are forever changing and they are changing rapidly. Anytime my coworker and I are on the phone with a member or are in person with a member, or we hear or see of a new fraud trend, we're sending emails out internally. We are also educating our members via phone or in person, letting them know what these scams are and whether they are, targeted against our youth, the scams that prey upon our elderly, any opportunity really that we have to educate a member. We're trying to take advantage of that,
Right.
because we know that this can potentially save somebody. If you don't know, you just don't know any better.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples of a scam that happened and what was the final result?
Well, that's a loaded question. We have been seeing everything. In my experience, the fraud has really exploded, where, we used to have maybe one fraud instance a day. Now we have roughly about 10 plus a day.
Wow.
So, we have people that believe that they may be getting involved in an investment. Bitcoin, that's very popular
Yeah.
nowadays. We were able to save a member from taking a really significant loss. He thought that he was getting involved in an investment, and it turned out that it wasn't an investor. He took out a very large sum of money, and those funds were able to be recovered. We work with law
Wow.
enforcement and other financial institutions to better educate and to better assist in these situations, because as the fraud emerges, as the fraud changes, we sometimes don't know how to handle those
Right.
and protect our membership. So we do seek out, other financial institutions and law enforcement for advice on how to better grasp this fraud that is changing. Technology is a wonderful thing, but unfortunately, it causes a lot of damage as well, too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, if we use technology for the good part of it, it's amazing. It saves time and everything. Like it used to be you had to come into the credit union to cash your paper check, stand in long lines. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. So that's a good thing. But now people are using that almost like against you.
Yes.
So now you really want to go in and, and hey, here's my ID, here's, because I have gone places and they didn't ask for my ID. And I'm like, don't you want to see, you're fine. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, okay, but I'm using a credit card. You don't know whose credit card this is. And you're telling me I don't have to prove who I am.
I think I've only been ID'd for my credit card once, and I thank that person. That was
Yeah.
a while ago.
I will. If someone asks me for ID when I'm using my credit card or even debit card, I'd be like, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Because my husband, someone in Louisiana had used his name to get a cable, cable and everything. And it took us over 2 months just to try to get his name cleared. And I finally told them, I said, what I don't understand, why do my husband have to prove that this wasn't him? Why don't you make the person that used his name prove that it is him?
Yes.
I said, why we got to do all the work? And it was like, well, that's how it is. And so with that, it's good that you guys are doing some of the legwork, for our members, because it can take a long time.
And it usually does, especially when you're dealing with, say, a loan.
Yeah.
They have to go through the credit bureaus. It is very disruptive, especially when you're dealing with, say, an elderly person who doesn't know how to navigate these things online.
Right.
It can be very challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some things that we can tell our members, like give them some tips, some pointers, what to look out for?
The most important thing that I can stress on is making sure that, you do your research before you act. Ask questions, never act impulsively, especially when something sounds a little too good to be true. And just realize at the end of the day, you never know who is sitting on the other end of that device. We have a lot of situations where our member actually thinks that they are engaging with a loved one, long-lost relative. So, anytime that somebody is bringing up finances, it's best to just walk away from it and never ever give out your personal identifying information or your account information to anybody. We also, anytime you're dealing on the computer, we're getting a lot of phishing attempts. If you're on a PC, it's a little bit harder to do on a phone, but when you're on a PC, what you can do is you can hover over that sender information, and it's going to tell you who's sending that. For example, looks like it's from LAFCU. If you hover over the sender, it should just say LAFCU.com, not phishingforyou.net, for example. Don't click on any links, and just ask as many questions as you possibly can. We're here to protect our membership. We're here if anybody has any questions. We have a lot of people that will bring in a check or, hey, I was looking for a loan online, not too sure if it's real. We're here to assist as best as possible.
Yeah. So what are some of the steps? Say, for instance, if someone did a loan app online and we found out that it was fraudulent. So what steps would we have to take, or the person that, they were imitating or whatever?
If it is, say, a loan that was submitted through LAFCU, but the true identity holder didn't submit it, we are reaching out to them, gathering as much information as possible, comparing it to the application. We have an identity theft affidavit that we do have the real identity holder. We have them fill that out, submit their form of ID, because a lot of times the ID on file is a synthetic ID. It's not even the actual true person in the photo of the ID. We also are making sure that they get onto the Federal Trade Commission website reporting identity theft. If you're not going to apply for any loans, and I say this to every member, if you are not going to apply for any loans or credit cards or accounts in the near future, it is best to just freeze up all 3 credit bureaus. Yeah. Because with all the data breaches that we hear about, we see, it's safe to just assume that everybody's information is out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a very negative topic, but it's best to just freeze up everything, and also filing a police report as well too, because if you have an application here at LAFCU, say, that's fraudulent, you're likely going to have one elsewhere. Yeah. And also just check in your mail. When we I get something from Bank of America, I'm thinking it's probably just some marketing ad. Just open that stuff up, because you never know. It could be a statement. Thank you for your recent credit card application.
Yeah.
And, if, say, for example, our member has they're looking for a loan online, a lot of times those fraudulent loans, they're depositing the money into the account, whether it's ACH, or they're having the member deposit a fraudulent check through remote deposit. They're asked to turn around and send that money right back. That's a huge red flag. If you come to LAFCU, you get a loan, the loan proceeds are going to be sitting in your account. We're not going to ask you to turn around and send that money back. Right. So we have, if you're looking for a loan, you're likely needing money to finance something. We've seen so many members that they think that they're getting a loan, they turn around, they buy gift cards, and this is only setting them back even farther.
Right.
So when in doubt, I always say, please reach out.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. But because that's the thing, like you said earlier, it's like a scare tactic, and then I really feel bad for like our senior members. You get a call and they tell you your grandchild is in jail or, been arrested, and you got to send all of this money. And so for them to prey on our elderly, it just doesn't make any sense. And because these are people, I look at it, they have worked hard for their savings. Most of them, are retired. They got limited income, and, and all you're doing is sitting up trying to find a way to get it. Let them enjoy their earnings. Yeah. Do we ever, how popular or, often we may see fraud when a family member is involved, or someone that, like a close friend or a family?
Unfortunately, it happens a lot.
Oh, wow.
And just on Saturday, had a member that wanted to take out a large sum of money, and I had to have that conversation with him. The funds were going to his son, and I said, we just want to make sure that this is something that you're doing on your own behalf, because we unfortunately do have a lot of members that are being coerced into something, or say they have a home health care worker that is, coming to their home, or they're in an adult facility. We've had a lot of situations where these workers are stealing checkbooks, enriching themselves. We do have to get Adult Protective Services involved in these situations, but unfortunately, a lot of times when there is fraud, I don't want to say every time, but a lot of times it is somebody that is closest to them, and it's very heartbreaking.
Yeah, because those are the ones closest to you. You feel like you can trust them.
Absolutely.
And I have heard of that a lot, especially like home care.
Yes.
They would write themselves a check or use, that credit card as if it was their own. And yeah, so that is. So what are some of the other things? I know LAFCU has Shields Up. So what is Shields Up? How did that come about? And who does that protect?
So Shields Up is, this is a national effort by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Our CEO, Pat Spike, he implemented this here at LAFCU, I believe in 2022. And it's based around the show Star Trek. And this is truly an effort to protect our LAFCU ship from cyber criminals. We as employees are being educated to refrain from clicking on any suspicious links and reporting any suspicious activity. Unfortunately, there have been hundreds of millions of dollars being lost to cyber criminals. And it's a national effort, which is the CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. It is a division of the United States government, and it leads the national effort to understand, manage, and reduce risk to our cyber and physical infrastructure. We see a lot of business email compromises. So it's really just an effort to stop these bad actors, because as technology grows, so does the cyber criminal activity, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's it. They're getting smarter, like you said, with AI. AI is a good thing, but when you can become someone else, that's not a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so is there anything else that we need to share with our audience about fraud, or, I guess we can't say it enough, how to protect yourself?
Just always ask questions. If you're not too sure about something, just before you act, stop, think about it, call us. We're here to help. And if you think you might be dealing with a loved one too, just try to call them, reach out, make actual contact with them, because we have had a lot of members that believe they are engaging, like you said, with the grandparent scam. AI, unfortunately, is able to clone somebody's voice within a matter of seconds. So just make sure that you're using as much tools as you possibly can, and reach out to your financial institution. We are LAFCU, your credit union for life, and we're here to support all of our members.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Always call, because I know a lot of times, you will get the phone call and they'll want you to call that number that's in the email or on the phone. But always try to look up the number to whoever I need to call and call that number, rather than, because like if we call that number back, we're going to get the scammer.
Absolutely.
So that's, another thing that, people never, don't return that phone call from that number.
And
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because it's best to just go directly to the website. Say if you think it's LAFCU calling you, go right to their website, get the information from that direct website, rather than bouncing around from the link to whatever phone number that they have put within that email, because 99% of the time it's going to be fraudulent.
Yeah. So that is true, and like we have said it, I know we kind of repeating ourselves, but it's just so important, for people to understand, like you said, if it sounds too good to be true, most of the time it is. And they do. They want us to fall for it. And they have some really good tricks out there now.
Unfortunately, they do. They've learned from past mistakes that they've made, and it has only allowed them to get better, which is not good for our members
Right.
and not good for LAFCU. But when in doubt, please reach out.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. Well, all right. Well, Amy, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a pleasure. And to everyone that's listening, if you guys ever is in doubt, please give LAFCU a call. If it's not LAFCU, you're a financial institution. Don't fall for it. Until next time, have a good afternoon. Thank you for joining me on this episode of LAFCU's 2 Cents Podcast. To learn more about LAFCU's products and services, please visit our website at LAFCU.com. LAFCU is an equal opportunity lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.